Welcome to In the Zone. I'm Dave Delgado here with Jon Cramer. We're at the PIC Hotel. Big race, UGM, every year. Always finding new ways to draw in the crowd.
That's for sure. Ben and his team really do a good job of getting out there and finding new things to add every year, additional things, or creating different atmospheres, and they make it a fun experience for everybody every year, for sure.
And we always have a big draw and participation for off-island competitors. I think this is a signature event that we just bring in all runners from all walks of life, and you're there from start to finish.
Start to finish. Even, a lot of races are just the one day, and you do the one day and that's it. But for this race, I mean, even today, the presser today is going to be a fun time. It always is. And then the 2 days leading up to the race, the expo on April 12th and 13th is super fun too. There's a lot going on during that, live entertainment, all kinds of things during that. And then the day of the race, that's start to finish there I'm there pretty much from 1:30, 1:45 a.m. all the way through. I always stay until the last racer finishes.
And it's not just the race, but it's everything leading up to the race.
Right.
They have all the training programs, they have all the social media outlets, and it's just the buzz that they create. So everybody's in tune to, hey, this is the cutoff date for you to take advantage of certain discounts.
Right.
But what other race starts off with a fire show and, cultural performers?
Yeah, that's one of my favorite parts is the fire show, and definitely for the people that are visiting that haven't seen that kind of show. Maybe they haven't ever been to it before, and then they get to see that right before the race, and you're in that lit tunnel, and then we get up on stage and we draw somebody from that group of runners that's going to win a round trip ticket to somewhere. That's pretty great way to start your day.
Yeah, and okay, it's one, we got to wake up early. Two, there's a big crowd of people getting ready to run the event, but you start off as a winner and walking away with that ticket to start off the race. But then there's also a lot of people that actually run in costume, which is crazy because you're running a long distance and you're dressed up and you're having to go against the course, but also running in a costume.
Yeah, I find that a lot of originally a lot of the costume runners were people from Guam or Saipan around here, but now that's kind of like a trend for a lot of the foreign runners that come in from Japan or Taiwan or Korea. They'll go for the costume, especially if they're in a group. We get lots of groups that dress with their company logo or they run with their flag, or they're all in the same costume, and that's a good way to do a 5K, 10K together.
And not only do they come in groups, but they come with their own news teams. I mean, it gets a lot of coverage with Japan media, Korea media, and these guys are coming out with high-tech equipment. I see guys vested up with the cameras on stilts, and they're actually, some of them are following the race all the way through.
Sure, and then the bloggers too, that you have the personalities that come in for it to show that they can do a marathon. Who wouldn't want, what better place than to do your first marathon than on Guam, a beautiful setting. You're running along the ocean for a lot of it. You get a good ocean view. And then the bloggers, they're blogging about it. So it gets a lot of attention and great media coverage, I think, everywhere. So I think that's why the part of the draw, people get to be a part of that whole scene, that fun scene. And, we've had some really great runners come and put up great times here too.
Yeah, you've called familiar names throughout the last few years. It's been Japanese runners setting a new course record and then smashing that record and setting another course record. But when you're out there announcing it and you get the start of the race going, as the first set of finishers start crossing the line, and then the race starts getting into the early mornings, and then you see the sun rise, and then it's the atmosphere it's pretty crazy because you go from kind of quiet to then you got people at the finish line cheering on the runners. Yeah,
it brings to mind like last year. I think we're still getting ready to start the 5K or even the 10K. The 10K has started, and we're getting ready to start the 5K, and then half marathon finishers are kind of already showing up, and
It's
everybody
dark.
shifts from cheering people on to start to cheering them on at the finish, and it's still dark, right?
Yeah.
You can't even really tell. And then when they come down on the finish, the great thing I love about this race is that people finish, and instead of running away and going home, and they don't do it, they stick around. People stick around, and they wait for those people that are doing the marathon and the half marathon, that it's getting into the early to later morning where it's getting warmer, and they stick around and they cheer them on, and you get a lot of support from fellow runners and fellow people out there.
And I think, the beautiful thing about running is it's for all ages. And, especially from the Japanese side, you see a lot of older participants. And, I think it's encouraging for spectators and runners alike, because when they see these athletes coming down and making their way down the finish line, you're like, whoa, this person just did that half marathon, and it's crazy.
Yeah, and we get to see on the sheet that I have, or when it comes up for me, it shows their age, and they're like 70, and they're doing a half marathon. I'm like, wow, that's pretty amazing. I know I won't be doing one at 70.
Yeah. I think, too,
so.
the younger kids, just their expression, their face expression, I really can't see how they keep that face of, I still have energy to cross the line. And, for somebody that runs that half marathon and they make their way through that finish line, you're down there and people are taking pictures of you. So you got to make sure that face is picture ready.
Right, definitely. I mean, and a lot of people will stop and they know the picture's coming. They kind of fix themselves up and get composed and get across the line together. Or I like the ones that, and I always tease them when they're trying to run across and finish at the same time. I try and challenge them to, no, you've got to beat them. You've got to beat them. You guys can't finish together. And they a lot of hand holding and a lot of love out there.
And I think the big thing too is after the race, runners get to dip their feet in the waters of Tumon. You have music, there's food, just the ditty bag, the finishing medals and all that.
Yeah, the T-shirt, the medal, the finisher certificate. The times come up really quick. They get their time right away. A lot of people, sometimes you never see your time until hours later. Their times come up right away. The Tumon Bay dip. Yep, the cool zone.
Yep.
They got the cool zone. It's always good times afterwards. A lot of times I miss some of that part. I have to come there afterwards because I'm there at the finish line, and everybody else is down there. I can hear everything going on. I'm like, oh, I'm here at the finish line. But everybody really takes advantage and has a good time with that finish line.
And I think it's more of a social thing, because running is one of those things after the race, everybody's comparing times, and just being a finisher in general. I mean, you walk around with that medal. I think I've done, we had a team one where we all each ran like a 5K distance, and I think just accomplishing that, and a lot of people are avid runners, but then there's some people that just do it to get it off their bucket list. Guys go from the 5K, 10K, and then, of course, jumping right into that half marathon distance race. Have you ever did a half marathon?
I've done several 10Ks, and then I've done one half marathon, the Rhoda half marathon years ago. But it's nothing. It wasn't on my bucket list. We were going over there for the Fiesta, but I see what you're saying. I see it right now a lot of the people out there right now. If you haven't noticed, on the streets in the evenings, in the mornings, there's a lot more people out running. It's that time of the year because it's less. The weather's better, but they're out there running, getting ready for this race right here, the UGM, and they're training hard, and it's great. Like last night, out in front of PIC, Gatorade had a tent set up. UGM had a tent with Gatorade, and people that are just running during their training runs can come by and get water or get whatever, just like if you were in the race. So that's really cool that the build-up of the people getting excited for this run is phenomenal each year.
I think one cool thing was I interviewed Sherwin Pyatt, one of the Guam's runners that always participate in 5Ks and everything, and he was registering for I think he said the 10K, and then some of the other guys from Run Guam was like, hey, just do the half marathon. So he was kind of like caught off guard, but it's like, okay, I'll assume that challenge and I'll get in there and I'll do that. So
he's going for it.
Yeah, he's going for it. And he's used to running long distances.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's going to be anything out of the ordinary for a runner like that.
Right. How about you? When's your next one?
Oh yeah, you know, if you decide to add a 2K, I'm not built for long distance
Yeah.
racing. I mean, you know, maybe do a sprint here or there.
You're a
and short
running.
distance.
You're a running back.
Yeah, so I'll keep it to the 100 yards and less. But yeah, I give a lot of respect and props to any runner that, you know, decides to take on this course, because I mean, for those that don't do the run, you start off with the JFK Hill.
Right.
That's your start,
Right.
Which is crazy. Like,
And the thing people don't realize is even on the way back, when you're coming back, that's a gradual slope all the way up from the bottom of that hill as you're coming back towards the finish line. It's unnoticeable when you're in a car as much, but when you're running and that's the end of your race, is to kind of make it up that last bit on your way back. There's a couple gradual sloping hills that are challenging.
yeah, I think the main thing too is just the scene and the atmosphere. And we're about to have Cheyenne come in and step in, and if she wants to join us now. Now,
Hi.
how does it feel for you? You're on the side of the building.
Well, it feels great, but it actually hasn't sunk in yet. I look at it and I look at it and I'm just like, wow. I remember being young, and I actually remember sitting in the back seat of my mom's car, and I was like middle school, and I saw the PIC banner. I remember thinking, I wonder how that girl like got up there, and now I'm up here, and it's crazy.
What are some of the other ways that you've helped promote the run besides, you know, being on the building? Is there any other things that you've done being the model for the UGM?
Well, it's mostly I guess the social media platform as well. I like to promote it through like my Instagram story. You know, I tell people to check out the marathon, make sure to register and all of that.
Are you a runner? Have you ever did any runs with UGM?
This will actually be my first time participating in the marathon.
And how has training been? What have you been doing to prepare for this upcoming race?
Well, it's mostly just, you know, drinking a lot of water, staying hydrated, you know, with my, meal prep as well.
And who's helping you? Anybody from the running community that's offered you tips and advice, or has been there throughout your journey getting ready for this race?
Well, I think what's good about being the spokesperson for UGM is that I have a lot of connections, so I'm able to speak to Leanne or any of the people here at PIC and that are part of the marathon, you know, if I need any tips or suggestions on how to prepare.
Have you ever ran long distance before actually stepping in to do this race?
I run a little bit, but it's not as much as I'd like to. But now that I'm able to, or now that I'm participating, you know, I'm pushing myself out of my comfort zone, you know, getting better at running and all of that.
And what's your goal for the run? Is it just to finish, or have you set a personal time for yourself?
Still working on that. You know, I'm just little steps, baby steps, you know.
Have you
getting out
tracked
there.
yourself as far as how many miles a week you've ran in preparation for this, or?
Not really.
Well, are you looking forward to it?
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
And how can people follow you on your journey as far as your social media outlets?
Well, I'm most active on Instagram, so they can follow me on there. And I just keep them updated through my posts, through my Instagram story.
Have you been able to check out the Runner's Oasis where they stretch out over here at the parking lot area?
I've actually come across it. I haven't went there myself just yet, but definitely will.
Have you even tried the JFK Hill? Because we're talking with Jon, and that JFK Hill is no joke.
It's not.
So you tried running up it already?
Well, we were doing a photo shoot there, and so I was there for a while running back and forth, so I kind of got the gist of it.
Yeah, I think you should prep yourself with that and then practice running down the finishing line, because I think making sure you have that face where I almost died, but I didn't, because that's the main thing. I mean,
Yeah.
for me personally, that's the reason why I'm like, man, if I ever decide to do a race, how do I keep that look on my face where I didn't look like I was dying the whole entire way, because that's crazy. But for the UGM, how often have you got messages like, "Hey, girl, that's a pretty big picture of you up there"?
I actually got a lot from my family. I got a few from my friends, and even one of the makeup artists that, you know, I go to, she messaged me and she was like, "Is that you?" And I was like, "Yeah."
Have you asked them what they're going to do with the banner afterwards? Do I get that? Because that's a pretty nice, big-size picture.
I don't know where I'd put it.
All right. Well, thanks for checking us out here
Thank
at
you.
UGM. We're bringing Jon back. Jon, any more last-minute information you want to get out there?
Well, people just need to know that there's still time to register, and they can register all the way up to, there's a deadline, but if you show up at the expo on the 12th and the 13th, you can still get in there and register. So there's time to register. People should stay aware, stay with the online apps and the Facebook, and pay attention to what's going on, because there's all kinds of stuff beforehand, you know, with the giveaways of the shirts and all that kind of stuff. So don't lose track of it.
Don't procrastinate.
Don't procrastinate. Pay attention. You're going to get a better deal if you sign up earlier, but you're still going to get great stuff either way. There's so much going on, as far as there's like bells they're giving away, shirts, posters, right? We're gonna go over all of that today in the press conference. So actually, it's the, what is it? UGM Press Show is what we're calling it. So people can tune into that. I think it's going to be feeding live on Facebook as well.
Yeah.
So if you want more information, stick around. That's going to start at 10:30.
Don't forget 5K, 10K, half, and full marathon as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. All right. Thanks for being on the show. Don't forget, it's Guam, UnitedGuamMarathon.com.